This is the Impulsive Thinker Podcast, a show for high-achieving ADHD entrepreneurs. Together, we will inform and educate you about how to improve your self-awareness while developing systems, routines, and habits for conquering the entrepreneurial world. Here is your host, André Brisson.
Hey there. I was listening to a bunch of podcasts lately, and it reminded me of a discussion I had with one of my buddies when I decided to leave a very profitable company with a good paycheck, and I was a partner. It just wasn't a good fit, but I was going from a good paying job, comfort, security. We just moved into a brand new home, which was, it stretched our mortgage rules, and it's a place we wanted to be out in the country. We blew all of our savings on renovating that house because we purposely bought an older, not so taking well care of home that needed an uplift. So, we blew all of our savings on there. We were 6 months pregnant, and I decided to go on my own. And I had I had fear. I had no issues going on my own. And because I knew if it didn't work, I can go somewhere else. I was never afraid that I would never be out of work. And by that, I mean be out of work in the way that I was never going to be able to find employment. And I remember a buddy of mine, a lot of times he doesn't really call me out or challenge me on everything. He has usually very good questions to provide on the next step. But for him to come out and call me he called me directly on the phone, which was quite rare at the time. And his question to me was, don't you think the timing is wrong? And he said, no, and then I replied, what do you mean wrong? He says, you just went to a new house. You're starting a family. You're leaving a well-paying job with comfort, and you're comfortable and you're doing well. Why take the risk of failing a company? And it wasn't a way that he didn't have faith that I can do it. It was the scenario, the situation is if I could not succeed, I could become in financial ruin. And that was his concern. It was never he doubted I can do what I do, because I've always done what I said I was going to do. But it was the fact that he was concerned that we can get in a situation that we could not get of. And he didn't want to see us hurt, affected, and in dire straits, because you don't want to see any of your friends like that, right? And family, friends, anything. And so I wasn't upset he asked me the question, but my answer to him was, two things, actually. If it doesn't work, I know I can get work. I know I can get a job. I'm employable. I know I can work anywhere. I know I can do anything that I want to. Work was out there. I will get it. Even if it's in a recession and no one else can get hired, I knew down deep I can get hired or I can get work. That was easy. That was one of my confidence levels there. And that made it very easy for me to move forward. I just knew I can get stuff done and I can take anything on. The second thing too was, for me, that was very important. And it was one of the key reasons I decided to jump on this opportunity that came up and to do something of my own, because at the time I didn't realize the environment at that company was not suitable for my undiagnosed ADHD, and they were fighting me all the time because I was not doing things well. It's not that I wasn't doing the things well. It wasn't doing it the way that was normal. I was very successful by doing unorthodox things in orthodox ways, and they struggled with that. But the other main thing for them was they were happy where they were successful, and they just want to maintain it. I wanted to just keep growing. Personally, I wanted to keep having new challenges, learning new things, and growing and seeing our capabilities and help other people build capabilities. So that's why I went on my own. And it didn't take much for me to move. But the second thing was, I remember this. I was just thinking there one night. I said, you know what? I don't want to be 65 sitting on my rocking chair going, what if? what if I actually went on my own and built a company? What if would have happened if I tried it and did it? So in the end, what I decided was, at least at 65, I wanted to say, you know what? I tried it and I failed because I did something and I had to do it. So that was my thing. Two things. I knew I'm employable, even though I am unemployable. I knew I could always get work somewhere if starting my own engineering firm was not going to work. And two, I did not want to be there at 65 going, what would have been my future? I didn't want to have that regret that I didn't try something. Because at the same time, I never realized this till probably about 6 years ago, is I need to learn by failing. And if I don't have these opportunities to fail and not learn from it, I don't gain much out of it. And it's kind of like, I think that's what a lot of us as entrepreneurs is, if we don't try something and fail, we almost feel useless, worthless, and we didn't gain anything, right? Because of all our failures, we keep succeeding. Because we keep hitting these obstacles, these roadblocks, we hop them, we figure ways around. That's our success. That's the moving forward. And for me, the other company was that they didn't want to do that. They were happy. They wanted to avoid these obstacles. They didn't want to do anything because they were happy where they were. And I got nothing against that. There's a lot of people out there, they get to a certain success. They like it there. Incremental change, incremental growth is adequate for them. And I respect that. I got no problems with that. And I say, good for you. And I appreciate that you at least understand that. And you're living your life the way you want. And I respect that. But for me, I set goals, I achieve them. I got to set more, and they got to be big and audacious for me. And if they're not scary, I have a hard time moving forward. So with our ADHD brain, I think we also got to say we need a bit of this fear constantly so we can keep our brain motivated and we can go to the next step. And sometimes setting these big audacious goals that everyone says is impossible. Well, it's impossible for them in their way of thinking and their mindset, but at the same time for us, what we think is impossible is not what other people think are impossible. I hope this makes sense, but for me, the key things was I know I can get a job anywhere if my companies didn't work. But now what I know now is maybe if that company didn't work, I can do something else. Like right now, I've got tactical breakthroughs. Because of my experiences with my first two engineering companies, I've gained a lot of experience, discovered a new direction in life I want to go. But because of that experience, I can do this now. So not necessarily as employable, I can get work at other places. I know I can get different types of work based on my experiences and my knowledge that I know there's a lot of people out there that are looking for it. So if you're the type that likes to be in the one company and grow the one company and be there for 30, 40 years, that's great. If you're a person, and I'm starting to think for me is, I'm a founder. I like to start something, get a group going and start something else. Like that's just the way I am. So I might have multiple companies. It's just the way that keeps me engaged without becoming an arsonist to my own success. So just a quick recap here. I know I can get a job anywhere. I know I can get work anywhere. I know I have value to many different people. So if my current situation doesn't work, I know I can make more money later. And I didn't want at 65 or later in life say, what if? I didn't want to sit there and say, what if I would have tried? Because those words always irritate me. And usually that's the way I end up talking myself into things is when I say, what if? What if? I don't like those words. What if? Thanks for listening. If this resonates with you, please let me know. It'd be greatly appreciated. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Impulsive Thinker podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. It helps us get discovered by listeners like you. If you can share it with at least 2 people, that'll start the process. Please follow us on social media. Just search for Tactical BTS. We regularly share interesting conversations and breakthroughs about entrepreneurship and ADHD. That's Tactical BTS. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Impulsive Thinker podcast. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for the show, please visit theimpulsivethinker.com. The Impulsive Thinker podcast is produced by Tactical Breakthroughs and hosted by André Brisson. Remember, ADHD is only a part of you, not all of you.